Guys, what is going on? This is Nate the Effing Great. This is indeed another episode of Week of Wrestling, the final episode of Week of Wrestling, because we are going to be transitioning this series into something that I actually created a long time ago when I first started podcasting. I decided to take this show and change it into something that, like I said, started off with, has a little bit of nostalgia for me, and honestly, I am so proud to have this back in my life again. I am going to be now calling the show Pro Talk Wrestling. That's right, Pro Talk Wrestling will now be one of the shows here on the Game Changer that you can find on Spreaker.com, as well as on YouTube, iHeartRadio, as well as on SoundCloud. So, we got a lot to talk about, including a couple of announcements to make for the Game Changer, including a new signee that will be a part of the Game Changer starting hopefully this week, but will have a major presence known in a future event. But before we get into that, I actually want to start off with one of the announcements I wanted to make concerning the month of February. So obviously you know that February will be a big month for us. We'll be having the Oscars going on, Elimination Chamber is going to be going on for wrestling, and honestly, you guys, one thing that I wanted to do, and you can definitely follow me on Twitter at RealEffingGame, is that I will be doing a deal in which I'm going to do something different. This is not going to be a month of February for me. No. For my Twitter exclusively, it's going to be Californiuary. So what that means is that every day of February, I am actually going to be paying homage to one of the earliest co-hosts that I had on this show, and somebody who's stuck with me probably since before so many people, before Agent Cooper, Max Beatty, before Charisma, before even VictoriBelle, and that being SoCalVal, to show my appreciation for all the years that she put into this and all the times that she came on has always been fantastic. I am going to do one a day, a deal where I actually will post a picture of her, as well as either comment on the photo, talk about a career highlight that she has mentioned as a favorite of hers, or just even talk about a moment that we've had on shows that really stood out. So definitely tune into that. It's going to be a special deal, definitely showing that I am indeed a member of California, but also that I am proud to be a friend as well as fan of the one and only SoCalVal. So Californiuary will commence on February 1st, and we'll go all the way until, I should have looked this up, but I'm going to look it up now. Okay, so it's going to be February 28th. So 28 days of SoCalVal posts. Do you think you can handle it? I think some of you can. I think some of you are just saying 28 is not enough. It should have been a full 30. It was just one of those things that I looked at and I thought, you know what? This kind of just really, really stands out as some of the best stuff. So, let's get right into talking about this huge week of wrestling. It is the week before Royal Rumble this weekend, you guys. We have TakeOver happening tonight. We will also have Royal Rumble on Sunday. So many things to talk about. I will be doing predictions for both shows a little bit later on during the show, as well as give the predictions that myself and Mr. Fretz, as well as Mr. Dusty Dave, have given for the Royal Rumble event. Before we get into that, we have to talk about Raw and SmackDown, as well as NXT, and a couple of things that have been going on throughout wrestling. But I'm actually going to start this off, not with Raw, but with AEW, and with an interview that Cody did this past week, talking about he wants fresh talent, and he doesn't want to dwell on the past. He admits that it's cool that we get to talk about the Attitude Era, but we should not be dwelling on the past, meaning that he wants to focus on having new talent and new stars in AEW. And honestly, you guys, that's a breath of fresh air. It really is. It's one of those things that I get it. There are people that miss what made the Attitude Era cool. The fact that, everybody was beating each other up, that some people were getting bloodied and battered, some of the controversial storylines that they did. You have to remember that now we live in a day and age in which it can't be like that anymore. You can still have some risque moments, But you cannot just go full-blown Attitude Era deal. And when you encourage that kind of deal, you're going to think, well, if they want to talk about the Attitude Era, then they must want some of the older stars. They must want, people like Triple H and Shawn Michaels and, Brock Lesnar and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. All these people that were a part of it, all of these older stars are going to now be showing up, and they're going to have these great matches. And, hey, we're going to give them title shots, and we're going to give them championship reigns. That's just something that I'm at the point where I don't necessarily need that unless it is there to help a story. That's the only reason why. That's why I am fully against the idea of having Brock Lesnar versus The Rock at WrestleMania. Yes, it would be a good matchup, and it would be great to see somebody else have the Universal Championship, but I just do not want that to be in the WrestleMania deal. It just doesn't make sense to me, because the point here is to elevate that championship and also really create a new star. And that's really why some of these part-timers work. Sting is a prime example of that. He always wanted to make younger guys look great, even at his age. He always tried to be that guy who would just always make somebody go from like a 3-star deal to like a 7-star deal and beyond, if you were very lucky. It's just one of those things that I really want them to focus more on the new talent. I want them to focus on more on some, maybe incorporating some of these older storylines, but having them make sense. Like the whole deal that they're doing with, with Jim Uso, Naomi, and Mandy. Yes, it has some hiccups here and there, but the thing about it is that at least it's something different. Mandy is just trying to get under Naomi's skin, and she figures the only way to do it is to break the marriage between Jimmy and Naomi. Is it one of those things where it's kind of a horrible storyline? It probably is. But it's just one of those things where if people want real, that is something that is kind of real, actually. There are people that are out there trying to break up these marriages just because either they got nothing better to do or they just don't want to see people happy. It's one of those things that I kind of applaud Mandy Rose for playing that role so well. She is a heel, and she's doing a fantastic job of doing it. And Naomi is reacting the way that she wants to. So I like the storyline that's going on between Mandy and Naomi. It definitely is one of those storylines that, makes sense. The reactions are good. It's just really good. So thankfully, AEW is going to be focusing on getting new talent. It seems like there's going to be definitely a lot more signed in before the year ends. And I am looking forward to, I'm looking forward to what else they have in mind. It's going to be awesome. But all right, let's talk about Monday Night Raw, the final Raw before the Royal Rumble. This is going to be interesting. We started off with the Martin Luther King tribute video. It was honestly a very well done video. They talked about some of his quotes. They talked about some of his career highlights during everything that he did. They even showed the tragic announcement made by, I believe it was JFK, that Martin Luther King had been shot, and they did even a 10-bell salute to that. That was just awesome. It completed that package so well, and it was probably one of the best tributes I saw to Martin Luther King. So WWE, hats off to you for creating a great video package, but also showing great respect to Martin Luther King. It was a really great way to kick off Raw. And then we had Brock Lesnar come out to Raw. This was in Oklahoma City. I don't know if I mentioned that or not. He came out with Paul Heyman, and he actually got booed. People were booing him. And once they got into the ring, of course, Paul does his deal. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, blah, blah, blah. And he just starts talking about belief, about how people believe that Finn Balor is going to defeat Brock Lesnar, how Finn Balor believes that he's going to do it, and that Brock Lesnar is going to be the reality, and he's going to destroy that belief. It's just so very well done. Then later on we saw Vince McMahon come out. He talks about David and Goliath in the wrong way. Oh my God, this was literally one of those situations where it's like, yeah, we see how Vince McMahon is out of touch. We definitely see that. Braun comes out about wanting to be the next challenger for the Universal title. Then Finn comes out talking the correct way about how David and Goliath was. It's one of those things that is weird when you incorporate Bible stories into wrestling. It's really weird, especially if you don't get the Facts, right? But basically what this all did was just create a matchup between Finn Balor and Braun Strowman. That's all this really did. And also, for those of you that may have noticed this, I know a lot of people did, Brock did not have his Universal title. Apparently he must have lost it, or he must have done something to it. He must have misplaced it. Maybe it got lost in baggaging. Who knows? But he had a replica championship belt around his waist during this whole deal. So it's one of those things where, yeah, that was kind of embarrassing. And also, this kind of shows you how much Brock loves that championship belt. And, of course, there's going to be people that would say, like, no, he just misplaced it. He's all fine. It's fine. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think he really cares. I really don't. Otherwise, he would have that championship with him all around. If it was lost in baggage or something like that, that I can understand. But if he just forgot it at home, that's just one of those things where it's like, dude, seriously, what is wrong with you? I'm not going to lie. Like I said, this evolves into a Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman deal. Brock was at ringside. During this matchup, Finn Balor did an amazing sling blade counter where Braun Strowman, he does the whole deal where he runs around the ring and he's about to, charge into somebody. The way that Kevin Owens sells that is awesome. But Braun Strowman is coming in like a train, and here comes Finn Balor with a sling blade counter out of nowhere. During the matchup, Brock actually suplexes Finn Balor. I believe it was a belly-to-belly suplex, if I wasn't mistaken. But this also caused Finn Balor to attack Brock. He hit him with like a baseball slide, he did a dive. It looked like he was going to defeat Braun Strowman, but then Brock came in, hit an F5 to Finn to kind of end that. Honestly, it was a pretty good way to start off the matchup. It's not one of those things where, where Brock is scared of Finn. It's just one of those things where it's like, this guy could actually be a bit of a challenge, but he's basically saying, hey, I have a message for you. One F5 later, that's all it could take to beat you. So it was honestly just, it was really good. It was honestly a pretty good matchup to start off. I kind of liked it. We had the Intercontinental Championship celebration. Bobby Lashley celebrating with Lio Rush. Rush, basically, I have my notes here. It says, tells it like it is. He basically talks about how Lashley's a pretty great athlete, and he's big and blah, 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 about his Intercontinental title run, everything like that. This, of course, brings out Apollo Crews, who basically just saying that he wants a title shot against Lashley. Rush just gives a wicked line in about Apollo's title career, how Lashley's won this many titles, and you have yet to win one single title in your entire career. Then they decided to do this random pose off, and immediately I got horrible flashbacks to Scott Steiner and Triple H. Oh my God, this did not need to happen. But it got a good reaction to my surprise. Then Lashley would attack Apollo. Apollo would, fight back and then throw Rush onto Lashley, and this would go into a matchup. Now, one thing I definitely do want to note with this was there was a child in the crowd who literally, while Lio Rush was talking, he just had a set of headphones on. And all I thought to myself was, damn, even people in attendance don't want to hear Lio Rush. They don't care. It was one of those things that I watched. I thought, okay, that's funny. That is funny. Lashley versus Crews, pretty decent matchup. Major highlight here was Crews was able to get Lashley up above his head for a gorilla press. Well, actually, he screwed up the first one, but the second time around, he got it. But then Lashley was able to hit a spear for the victory. Lashley defeats Crews. That's kind of really all that it was. Lashley was going up the ramp, and then Seth Rollins came out. They have a little stare down between the two of them. Seth would come out to talk about, his year in 2018 and how in 2019 he's going to win the Rumble, go to WrestleMania. And then we get Drew McIntyre. Drew comes out and he just critiques, Seth's wrestling, basically talking about how he's a high flyer, he's taking risks, and he's doing that, and that's all going to just blow up in his face. He talks about how he's beaten Seth Rollins before, and he'll do it again, and he's also going to win the Royal Rumble. The matchup between Seth and Drew, it's a great and very brutal matchup. I mean, that's really all I can say. about Drew McIntyre matches is that they're really good, but they're also really brutal. The way that Drew hits, the way that Drew just wrecks people, it's just absolutely terrifying. But he does a fantastic job of creating these great moments. I absolutely love it. And it's just, it's Drew McIntyre at his finest. One of the things that definitely does stand out here was that we see a lot of flowing moves from the two of them. They definitely knew how to counter a lot of things. They definitely knew how to make everything just work perfectly. Seth would get hit with the Alabama slam, reverse Alabama slam, I should say, on the outside. That is just a brutal move. I also have this note here that says Drew thrives in the Tree of Woe. It is one of those things where it's where a lot of superstars, they feel helpless, and they are basically helpless when they do a Tree of Woe. Drew doesn't do that. No, he fights back no matter what. He's able to either do, a German suplex from the Tree of Woe if somebody's on the top rope. He'll do a suplex. He'll find a way to just fight out of it. He just thrives very well on it. It's really cool. Drew would then hit a Celtic Cross from the top rope and get a 2 count, but then he was able to turn it around into a power bomb. Oh my God, that was beautiful for another 2 count. Then Seth Rollins would do a roll up for the victory. Pretty good matchup, like I said. Love the chemistry between Seth and Drew. Honestly, if they keep fighting and they keep getting these matches on, I am totally okay with that. It's one of the few times where I will say, okay, yes, this is one of those matches I'm okay with having a repeat, because there's no way that they're going to just, do something that's repetitive. Revival talks to Vince McMahon about getting one more match, and basically Vince is like, all right, fine, you get one more match, but Kurt Hawkins is the special guest referee. Yeah, this is one of those things where it's okay, I think we're going to get new tag team champs. Let's see how well that bites me in the ass. Dean Ambrose had a promo. He talks about 2018, how it was basically a hellacious year for him. Then he talks about winning the Royal Rumble. And he even makes this comment about Bobby Lashley, calling him Bend Over Bobby, because, of course, a lot of people know that Bobby Lashley likes to bend over and show his butt. So I thought that was just kind of funny. We have Lucha House Party taking on Jinder Mahal and the Singh brothers. Basically, the only thing you need to know is one tilt-a-roll backbreaker from Gran Metalik to one of the Singh brothers gives them the victory. Just moving along from that. It was just not really that much special. EC3 was backstage after having a nice little promo package. He's kind of doing a stare deal. Dana Brooke comes up to him, and she's basically infatuated with him. Talk about, how do you get your muscles, how do you get stuff like that. And EC3's just not even saying a word. All he's doing is he's basically just trying to mime, hey, I'm doing something here. Could you just go away? And Dana Brooke just keeps talking and talking and talking. It was pretty entertaining. That was funny. Elias walks by and he just shakes his head wow, good luck with that. Then we get an Elias segment where he sings. Baron Corbin, of course, interrupts, which allows us to go into another Baron Corbin versus Elias match, which I'm never really fond of. Oh man, they're beating the horse with this one too much. I will say this, that whenever Elias does this move, he actually did the old school in this move. He actually did the whole deal, where Undertaker does the arm wrench, then he goes to the top rope, and he just walks the ropes. Elias went from one side of the ring to the other using the ropes. That was cool. Now, that is a walk with Elias deal. That was awesome. But Baron Corbin would get the victory with the End of Days. Pretty standard match. Nothing really special. We had a moment of bliss in which she was going to be talking about the Royal Rumble. Then we had Nia Jax come out. And then we had Ember Moon come out. Then other women came out. They're all stating I'm going to win the Rumble. I'm going to win the Rumble, blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, they all just go into a brawl. They're beating up on each other. We see Alexa Bliss basically just saying, well, that just got ugly. And I will also say this, that her and this moment of bliss talk show is awesome. I am literally a fan of it. I absolutely love it. I kind of want more of this. So if this is one of those things that just keeps on happening, I am totally okay with it. Alright, so Then, of course, Alexa Bliss would talk about the Royal Rumble and that she's going to be making her wrestling return in the Rumble matchup. But then this would also draw out Lacey Evans, and she says that she is going to win the Royal Rumble, and literally we would see that be the end of the segment. That's about it. I apologize. Somehow I got distracted by a TV commercial talking about The Favorite. If you listen to the Oscars, you'll definitely know what I'm talking about. So, the Oscar episode that we did the other night. Anyway, we have a matchup in which we have Heavy Machinery versus Rant with Ant's favorite tag team in the world, The Ascension. Yeah, it was not a good day for The Ascension, I will say that. Otis was able to hit the Caterpillar, but then Heavy Machinery just picks up the victory. It was kind of a basic squash match. That was kind of a bummer. We have the tag team title matchup, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable taking on the Revival with Kurt Hawkins as the guest referee. I will say this, that I thought that maybe Kurt Hawkins would be the reason why Revival won the tag team titles, but I was sorely mistaken because we had Kurt Hawkins as one of the best referees ever. We saw, Revival doing everything that they could to get the victory, whether it was using the ropes, using the tights, anything like that. They tried every trick in the book, but Kurt Hawkins was always on top, just like, yep, nope, not happening. In the end, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable would pick up the victory. And nothing really memorable for this matchup, in my opinion. The Revival would try to beat down on Kurt Hawkins, but then Zack Ryder would come out to make the save, and it looks like we're going to get a feud between Ryder, Hawkins, and Revival in the future. But again, this is one of those things where it's like, they could have done so much more with this. I'm so ticked off about it. Well, at least Kurt Hawkins won't be, winless for that long. Anyway, so we move on to Ronda Rousey. She is all fired up for Sunday. She talks about, how she's shown nothing but respect for Sasha. Sasha just been disrespectful, and she's going to basically beat Sasha at Royal Rumble. So this is one of the fired up Ronda promos that I really wanted, and I'm totally okay with. This built up to the Natty and Ronda versus Sasha and Bayley matchup. It was a great matchup between these competitors. Some really good counters between all four of them. They found ways to make everything work. But Sasha Banks was able to nail the bank statement on Natty. Natty unfortunately tapped out. And that was it for that. So we end Raw talking about the Raw Women's Championship. Honestly, I'm perfectly fine with this. And now that I think about it, we have two former UFC fighters that started Raw and ended Raw. That's I don't think that's ever happened before. And that's just really cool. That kind of is historical. So props to Raw for making that kind of history. It was a pretty meh sort of show, but for the most part, it at least did what it was supposed to do, I guess. So we have SmackDown Live in Wichita, Kansas. Becky Lynch, she comes out to kick off. She talks about her career and how nobody was really talking about her until she made a splash last year. And then she talks about the Rumble, how she's going to win back her championship. Asuka comes out to interrupt, and then Charlotte comes out to interrupt about winning the Royal Rumble matchup. And this would also lead into an Asuka and Becky Lynch brawl, in which Becky Lynch definitely got the final laugh and the final word in that one. It's really going to be interesting to see how this happens. I've been wanting to see these two lock horns for so long, and now we get the chance to see that this Sunday at Royal Rumble. Oh my God, that's going to be so good. We get Mandy versus Naomi as the first matchup on the card, and the fact that this got a hype package? Really? And it wasn't even like one of those like major hype packages you would see in a lot of I'm trying to think here. Like a lot of the big matches like they do at Rumble. No, this is kind of like, they just took like still of what happened, and basically this was the end result was Mandy versus Naomi. Basically, how do I describe this matchup? It was very physical, as it should be, but the finish was such a disappointment. Oh my gosh. Literally, Mandy took advantage of a distraction on Naomi. She threw Naomi into the ring post, and that was the end of it. I hope this feud gets better, because, like I said, it was physical as it should have been, but the finish was just an absolute train wreck. God, that sucked. Rey Mysterio then had a nice little video deal where he talks about the Royal Rumble, but he also talks about his 2 out of 3 falls match against Andrade. I loved this because Rey Mysterio talked about his record Royal Rumble deal, talks about how he won, and just one of those things where he talks about lightning striking twice again this Sunday. It was really cool. And then he talks about Andrade, Cien Almas. Yes, I'm still calling him that. I refuse to call him by one name, as WWE are trying to do. I really just love this feud that's going on between the two of them. It's really great. We go into Miz versus Cesaro in what was an okay matchup. We had uppercuts early on from Cesaro. A very beautiful counter by The Miz. Basically, Cesaro had him in an Alabama Slam deal, and then he does like a roll-up, and then counters it into the figure 4. It was a great deal, but Cesaro would win with the neutralizer, and Shane McMahon and Miz beat down on Sheamus and Cesaro. Shane goes up for the elbow, but the bar just says nope. They toss Shane into the guardrail, I guess it was, the barrier, I should say, and we would see the bar get the last word. They beat down on the Miz and Shane, put Miz on the table, and then they do like this high-angled, almost like power bomb deal on Shane McMahon to the Miz. It was one of those moments where I was like, wow, they just introduced kind of a new move, and it was pretty awesome. I kind of want more of this. We get a Mustafa Ali and Samoa Joe package. Love it. Mustafa Ali and Samoa Joe they're going to have a really good matchup. I could tell. We then have a deal in which AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan have a face-to-face deal, and Vince McMahon is there to moderate. Honestly, Vince did his job, so that was kind of cool. Bryan talks about power, and he talks about how crucial it is in life, but AJ used it for fame and for the fans, and Bryan is using power for the greater good, and that he's the planet's champion. AJ would end up calling Bryan fickle, and he would also talk about the Rumble. Vince tries to get Daniel Bryan into the ring, but not before Daniel Bryan would get some truth about Vince McMahon, about how he definitely did not believe in guys like him and guys like AJ. It's just really some good stuff that they laid out. AJ Styles would then chase Daniel Bryan around the ring. He would go for the phenomenal forearm, but Bryan used Vince as a barricade to block him. And then we would see Bryan hit the running knee and leave with the WWE title. Building up to this matchup at Rumble, it's pretty good. I kind of like it. It's going to be very interesting to see how this comes down. Then we get a R-Truth and Carmella backstage segment in which they talk about the Royal Rumble. They talk about, both of them entering at number 30. And R-Truth mentions about facing either AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. Bryan, I should say. And Carmella asked, well, what about the Universal title? And Truth is like, what? No way. I'm not going to go face Brock Lesnar. I'm not going to be taken to Soup Ball City. And Carmella corrects him, and Arch is like, oh, that too. But I'm actually thinking more for the Cruiserweight title against Bobby Murphy, which, again, got a laugh out of me. Carmella makes a comment about First of all, it's Buddy Murphy. I think you have to fit a certain weight limit. R-Truth gets offended and he just says, "Oh, so now you're calling me fat now, huh?" And he just walks away. It's just funny. I love these segments between R-Truth and Carmella. Honestly, God, I'm loving Carmella more and more now. It's just this whole deal where she associated with Ellsworth and she had that whole deal with the women's title. I didn't like it, but now she's got back in my favors. I enjoy it. Now, they also talk about Carmella runs into Charlotte, and they're both talking about the Rumble. I love that they're still continuing to show history between the two of them, and they're also just continuing to build up to what could be a fantastic Royal Rumble. It will be a fantastic Royal Rumble. It's going to be very cool to see how this goes. We then go into Samoa Joe versus Mustafa Ali. Joe would get the early advantage, but some really good back and forth action between these two stars. In the end, though, Samoa Joe would lock in the Coquina Clutch to give him the victory. I love this matchup. I thought it was really good. And I do agree with how the outcome came about. Joe needed to have that momentum to build into the, Royal Rumble. Also, I think that it's still a little early to give Mustafa Ali just these big victories, but then again, he did beat Daniel Bryan, so. But I think it's still going to be one of those things where he's still early on in his SmackDown career for us to say, "Oh, he's been buried." No. He's still got a lot more in his tank right now. Just a couple hiccups now and there. It's fine. I have faith that Mustafa Ali will be a champion before the year is over. We then get the announcement that the panel for the pre-show is going to be HBK, Beth Phoenix, Booker T, Jerry the King Lawler, and John Bradshaw Layfield. Dang it all. I just wanted him off my TV forever. I just want him to just be in the Hall of Fame, and then I never see him again. That's all I ask for. Well, let's try to go on to a happy place. Okay, this I found to be very funny. So, New Day is backstage. They're playing a game of... Then they get interrupted by, I think it was Charlie, I believe it was. Yeah, I think it was Charlie. Basically, she asked the question, with it being every man for himself, could this be like a breakup between the New Day? Then New Day just goes off and just says, every year it's the same thing. First it was like Renee asking, it was Cole asking, it was this person asking. What's next? Is Tony Chimel going to be asking? And what a surprise! Tony Chimel just happens to be there, and he's just about to ask the question, and they just go away, Tony Chimel! No, just shoot, get out of here, boo! I'm certainly surprised they didn't just grab a plate of pancakes and then just go, shame, just to throw him out. It was great to see Tony Chimel again. I loved it. We saw Kofi have a little bit of distress in his eyes where he's just thinking, what if I can't do something great to, stay in the Rumble? What if I'm all out of, ideas, out of material? And basically, he finally comes up with this idea that he brings to, Xavier Woods and Big E, and they're just like, oh, that'll be interesting. And Charlie tries to get the inside details, to which they're like, nope, never talk, nope. So it was kind of like those weird aliens from Sesame Street, the ones that go, nope, yep, those ones. Then we get into the main event, which was Andrade Cien Almas versus Rey Mysterio in a 2 out of 3 falls matchup. I wanted to say that this was going to be the one that would be match of the year. But, unfortunately, I still stand by what I said. I think last week's matchup was match of the year, despite Zelina Vega getting involved. It was a really good matchup between the two of them, and it worked perfectly. And I'll explain why when I talk about this matchup. So, first off, there was a head scissors that Rey Mysterio did from the inside of the ring. He's able to hop out of the ring and do a head scissors on Andrade onto the outside floor. It was just a spectacular way to start it off. Eventually, we would see Rey Mysterio go for a head scissors on Andrade Cien Almas from the top rope. Unfortunately, though, Mr. Almas decided, nope, picks him up, actually gets to the very top rope and hits a super power bomb on Rey Mysterio to give him the first fall. That was just a brutal move, but a fantastic move as well. We then had Rey Mysterio get the second fall with the flip pile driver. Not really too much that really happened between those falls. Not that I really could think of. Now, this was really cool. Holy cow. Do you know how Rey Mysterio usually did this deal where he rebounds off the ropes, he does a slide on the mat, and then he does like a splash? Well, he decided to up that game because he did exactly that. But instead of a splash, he's able to roll Andrade, who is just like hunched just before on the apron. He's able to do like a flip power bomb to Andrade, who hits the barricade. That was just a really cool move. I loved it. It was great. We also saw the return of the West Coast Pop for a near 3 fall. Holy cow, was that really awesome. Oh my gosh, this was great. We saw Rey Mysterio try to go for another powerbomb deal on the outside, but Andrade was able to counter it, and then he counters Rey Mysterio, attempting to a head scissors. Then Andrade hits a powerbomb on Rey Mysterio to the ring post. Then he throws Rey Mysterio into the inside, hits a hammerlock DDT for a close 2 count because Rey Mysterio is able to put his foot on the rope. Rey Mysterio looks to get the victory, hits the 619 on Andrade, and looks like he's going to go for the splash. Samoa Joe comes in, beats down Rey Mysterio. He beats down Andrade and this is a no contest. I hated that because like I said, I would have probably made this the match of the year, but that ending definitely screwed it all up. Now I kind of want them to fight in an Iron Man match. I kind of want them to go 30 minutes of just uninterrupted, let them just tear each other apart. And honestly, if they want to incorporate the United States Championship, I'm okay with that. Joe then gets on the microphone and he talks about the Royal Rumble and that he is going to beat everyone. And just as he's about to finish, RKO out of nowhere, Randy Orton comes in and he just an RKO out of nowhere, and he gets the final word to end the show. And Randy Orton's involved. Could this be a repeat of him winning the Royal Rumble from a couple of years ago? I have my doubts. I definitely have my doubts about that. So, honestly, I've seen better Royal Rumble build-ups, but for the most part, compared to other Rumble ones, Rumble pre-shows, I guess we can call them, these shows were pretty good, I would say. But, not like the best. No, definitely not going that far. Let's go into NXT, shall we? To which I will say this, that Mr. Nick Giacobbe definitely mentions this crazy deal in which, holy cow, he was right about one thing. He's right about there being a lot of Star Wars references in this whole deal. But let's not waste too much time talking about that because we will get to that. So let's talk about, first off, Velveteen Dream comes out and he is not booked for the TakeOver show, but he talks about wanting the North American Championship. And honestly, holy cow, Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream for that title would be great, but also have to remember that Velveteen Dream is a part of that When Worlds Collide deal where we have NXT UK, as well as the 205 Live deal. They have that tournament going on during Rumble Access, but it will not air on the WWE Network until I think it was February 1st and 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. So you gotta wait until that, but there's going to be spoilers, which honestly I kind of welcome them because I kind of want to know what happens. I wish that they would have done them during this weekend, but unfortunately they're going to wait until February. That's just dumb. That's just my opinion. Undisputed Era, they come out and they're predicting the future. They're talking about, hey, all of the Undisputed Era members are going to hold Tag Team Gold in 2019. Honestly, having Adam Cole as NXT Champion, Bobby Fish as the North American Champion, and then having the Tag Team Champions held by the current reigning champions, oh boy, will that just be a beautiful sight. I kind of want this Undisputed Era deal to have all the gold. And even if they don't do it in 2019, I would love to see them go to the main roster and do that, because any one of those guys definitely deserve to hold titles, and they also deserve. I think Undisputed Era is going to be the next Evolution deal, and what I mean by that is that they're going to hold all the gold on the main roster. I really want to believe that, and I'm going to go on a limb and say that's going to happen. Just got to wait for them to get called up first. It might happen after WrestleMania. It might happen next year. You never know. But basically, Dream outsmarts the Era as they try to attack him, and they make the match for later on the night, in which Bobby Fish would take on Velveteen Dream. And boy, howdy, is this going to be a very, very, very good matchup to talk about. We have a rematch from, I believe it was a couple weeks ago, actually. Had Oni Lurkin and Danny Burch, my boy, taking on Marcel Barthel and Fabian Eichner. Another great tag team matchup. And honestly, let me say this, you guys. I know that there's so many people that are just saying, oh, we can only get in so much for the time they give us. They had probably not that much time to do this matchup, but they made the most of it. And oh my God, was this a great matchup between these two teams. Honestly, I am hoping that we get more matches from these guys. It just was great. I loved it. I think that I would definitely say that this would be my match of the week. I might make that into a new segment now where I'll make it's like Pro Talk match of the week. Definitely was this one. And I'll tell you guys why. There's a point where Marcel and Eichner do a brainbuster and a springboard moonsault combo. That was great. Oni counters a powerbomb into an uppercut combo. There's a lot of high-flying moves between these four individuals. Oh my gosh, it's just a really fantastic matchup between them. Eichner misses a high-flying move, and Oni rolls him up for the victory. It was just fantastic. It's one of those matches where they delivered everything. They gave everything that they could. Now, if we got them in an Iron Man match, if we got them in a 2 out of 3 Falls match, they could definitely up the game and up the bar that much more. I love this matchup. I think it is fantastic. And I really think that these four guys are definitely going to be huge stars in WWE within, I would say, the next 2 to 3 years. I will say that. And if not in WWE, they're going to be huge on the independent scene. Even if they get signed to AEW. It's just going to be really good. All right. So, we had another tag team matchup in which we had Io Shirai and Kairi Sane taking on Amber Nova and Tania Brooks. Pretty basic tag team match. Sorry, not really too much, except for the ending. Oh my God, this was good. I loved this deal in which Io Shirai and Kairi Sane do this deal where they lift each other up, and we are able to see this elbow drop and moonsault combo. They don't even use the turnbuckles. They just used each other to do it. It was beautiful. I loved it. I kind of want more of this now. Holy cow. And they picked up the victory for that. But then, of course, after the match was over, they're celebrating, and oh my God, they have the cutest pros where it's just like, we're best friends, we're happy, and we're going to win the tag team titles. Yay! As soon as they said yay, it's like, okay, they're probably legit my favorite team right now. But then we had 2 of the horsewomen from UFC come in. They basically talk a lot of trash, and they want to have a rematch between the 2 women, I should say. So we get a rematch between them and Io Shirai and Kairi Sane set for next week. So that's going to be a really good matchup. Then we have the main event, which was, the main event match, I should say. Velveteen Dream versus Bobby Fish. Some really good stuff involved here. Velveteen Dream got the advantage early on, but then Bobby Fish would get the advantage by working on Velveteen Dream's leg. It seemed like Dream was going to hit the Death Valley, whatever they want to call it, the Death Valley Slam, Death Valley Driver Slam, whatever they want to call it. I think they call it like, oh man, I'm trying to remember what exactly the name of the move was called. I should have wrote this down. But yeah, despite having his leg worked on, Velveteen Dream was able to hit the Purple Rainmaker elbow drop for the victory. And Velveteen Dream has momentum. He could be going, and he could be participating in the Royal Rumble. You just never know. We end NXT with Gargano and Ricochet live. Basically, Ricochet talks about how he had a lot of respect for Johnny Gargano, but one super kick basically changed all of that, in which Johnny Gargano comes out, and we see Aleister Black attack Ricochet. Tommaso Ciampa, I should say. Tommaso Ciampa attacked Ricochet, then Aleister Black attacked Tommaso Ciampa. There we go. Then Johnny Gargano got involved, and basically it ends with Ricochet and Aleister Black both beaten down. Then we see Ciampa and Gargano walking up the ring, kind of about 3 feet, maybe 5 feet away from each other. They reach the ramp, and then we hear fans just chanting, DIY, DIY, DIY. And what really makes this very interesting is that Ciampa sticks out his hand as if to maybe extend an olive branch or something like that. It's one of those things where it was very surreal. And it looks like Gargano was going to shake his hand, but luckily for him, his wife Candice gets involved, and she's just saying, no, you're not going through this again. You're not doing this again. You're not going through this again. It's just one of those deals where, oh my God, they're telling a really good story. And it's a Star Wars deal. Oh my God. It feels, yes, like Tommaso Ciampa is the Emperor, and that Gargano is Anakin. Holy cow. There's debate on whether... Nick brought up the idea that Goldie, the championship belt, is Padme, and Candice LeRae is Obi-Wan Kenobi in a certain way. I don't know. The jury's out for that. But just the main points of just Tommaso Ciampa just trying to turn Johnny Gargano full heel. Oh, it's just so good. I will also say this, guys. They had a lot of hype packages going on for the NXT title, for the women's title, just a lot of the matches. There's great hype package stuff. Just absolutely loved it. Alright, so I've talked a lot. Let's go into a little small commercial break, and then when I come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about Impact Wrestling, and then I will go into talking and giving predictions for the Royal Rumble, because holy cow, is this going to be a hard Rumble to predict, but it's going to be a fun Rumble to watch regardless. So, with that being said, guys, enjoy this quick commercial break, and like I said, when I come back, we will talk more about wrestling.
Check out the guys over at Eclectic Media Project. They bring you podcasts such as Musically Challenged. Whose podcast is it anyway? Want to hear something interesting? And their newest podcast, Page 3.14 News. Check them out on Podbean and iTunes at Eclectic Media Project, on their website at www.eclecticmediaproject.com. Check them out as they are the home with a little something for almost everyone.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this edition of Pro Talk Wrestling here, of course, on the Game Changer Network. I am indeed Nate the Effing Great. Time to talk a little bit about some Impact-related news before I get to talking about the Royal Rumble, because I have a very special way of how this is all going to go down. All right, so let's talk about Impact Wrestling in the fact that two of their stars have actually left the company and have supposedly signed on with WWE, or they're going to sign on with WWE. That being Sanjay Dutt as well as Abyss. Now, for a lot of people that don't know, Sanjay Dutt was one of those guys who definitely personified what the X Division was all about. His great high-flying maneuvers were just unmatched. He had some pretty good storylines. He had a great relationship with Jay Lethal, in which it would have also evolved into a pretty devastating feud where they almost mimicked the Mega Powers, where it was Hogan and Savage, and it kind of ended in a different fashion than what a lot of people predicted. But then Sanjay went on to be a producer, road agent, something like that. I think he may have also worked in creative. He worked more backstage. He did actually get one X Division title run, which I am very thankful that he did, because it was long overdue. Very long overdue, and very glad that he got to at least enjoy that. But yeah, also Abyss leaving Impact Wrestling is a bit of a shock to me, because the thing is that I would have figured that Abyss would have stayed in Impact Wrestling all the way until he retired. And it's one of those things that it's just really crazy, because you think about all the stuff that he has done and all the stuff that he could be doing in WWE. I don't see anybody really. Maybe I don't know if I'm speaking. I don't know. I'm kind of baffled by this, because again, I thought he was going to stick around. He just recently got inducted into the Impact Hall of Fame. All of these releases and everything between Impact and Abyss and Sanjay, it was all mutual. It was all no bad things between them. Now, also there's some rumors going around that Sanjay role has been filled by Conan and Tommy Dreamer, so you can definitely expect those two to be a part more of Impact Wrestling creative. So it's going to be interesting to see. If we see Sanjay and Abyss in WWE, I kind of will be okay with it. I'm very interested to see what happens. But I could also see them signing with AEW. They would be really good fits for them. Who knows? We'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens in the future. So, all right, let's stop talking about that. Let's talk about the Royal Rumble event. And holy cow, do we have a lot to discuss here, you guys. There are so many matches on here in which, oh dear Lord, it's just going to be absolutely insane talking about these matches and how they're going to just absolutely just blow your mind. Holy cow. Alright, so before we get into Royal Rumble, I have to talk a bit about NXT TakeOver Phoenix that is going to be taking place the night before, and oh jeez, sometimes technology works with me, sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so let's get into some of these matches here. We have 5 matches for NXT TakeOver Phoenix. So, however they book this, I will be perfectly okay with them. It's just now going to be a matter of, let's see what happens. Alright, so we have Matt Riddle taking on Cassius Ohno in a rematch, you could say, because I think this is their third matchup that they've had in the matter of the last 3 months, and honestly, they've had some really good matches. Last time that they faced off at a TakeOver was the last TakeOver, in which Cassius Ohno lost in like a matter of seconds. So I do not expect that to happen with this matchup, but I also do expect Matt Riddle to come out victorious in this matchup. We have the North American Championship, in which Johnny Gargano takes on the champion Ricochet. I do not see Ricochet losing the title anytime soon. I think that they're going to could be an early match of the year candidate. Holy cow. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. So I'm going to go with Ricochet retaining, but they're going to put on a really good matchup between the two of them. Honestly, I think it is still going to boil down to Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in New York. And Johnny is going to win the NXT Championship, which I'm totally okay with. We have the tag team title matchup in which the Undisputed Era take on the War Raiders. I see Undisputed Era retaining. I do not see War Raiders coming out victorious in this. I think that they are going to definitely try to keep Undisputed Era looking strong throughout this year. A loss here definitely would kind of derail that momentum. So, yes, I'm going with Undisputed Era. Shayna Baszler will defend her title against Bianca Belair. It's an undefeated streak against the championship, so one of them's got to give. Honestly, I think it's going to be the undefeated streak that gives in this one. I see Shayna Baszler. I see her retaining here at Phoenix. Then we have the main event match in which we have Aleister Black challenging Tommaso Ciampa, Emperor Palpatine, for the NXT Championship. I see Ciampa going over. It's right now, Ciampa is one of the hottest things in NXT right now, and he is definitely one of those guys that deserves all the success that's coming to him, and then some. I'm looking forward to seeing what else happens here. So, yeah, let's just see how this goes. All right, let's talk about Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble. Oh, man. I always love the Royal Rumble. Even if there's some events where it's like, wow, this is complete trash. This is going to be a very interesting event because the Royal Rumble matches, you don't know who's going to win, which is great because some of these were kind of, laid out. Some of them were kind of planned. This one could go either way, honestly. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. All right, so let's talk, first of all, about, let's see here, we got the United States Championship matchup is on the pre-show, in which we have Rusev taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. So, as far as this goes, we have it's a three-way tie between myself, Mr. Fretz, and Dave. We both picked Rusev to retain. I'm also going to do something special for this. So, as I'm talking about my predictions, I'm also going to tell about how I would actually book this. So, you can kind of turn this into a how I would book Royal Rumble or how I would book this event because, I'm an effing genius, no ding required. Okay. So, how I would have this matchup, I would have it be a very physical match between Rusev and Nakamura because Nakamura has been getting the advantage on Rusev on so many different levels. So, this is one of those situations where it's like, now Rusev definitely needs to get that win back. And how he does that is by becoming the Bulgarian Brute, how he just becomes this Moscow nightmare. He becomes that Rusev that he was before, and he just wrecks Nakamura. And one of the best ways I see him doing that is going Machika kick, Nakamura, it's very physical, like I said, Machika kick 1, Nakamura kind of gets up. He gets a little dazed, but he's able to handle it. Machika kick 2, Nakamura, yep, he's still a little bit dazed, but he's still able to get up. And Nakamura, he does his deal where he just literally gets up, he's in a corner maybe, and Rusev is just thinking, what the hell? How is this guy even doing it? And Nakamura does a deal, hands go up, come on! We have a third Machika kick by Rusev, and then we see Rusev lock in the accolade on Shinsuke Nakamura. He does not tap out. No. He actually does a deal in which he does a classic, he does an old-fashioned deal where a lot of people, they don't tap out, they just say that they give. So Nakamura does that. So instead of tapping out, making him look weak, he just says, yeah. And maybe it could be one of those situations where Nakamura could say, I never said yes. So therefore, he could probably even get set up for a rematch or something like that. But he does not tap out. Do not have Nakamura tap out. I would not have that happen. But yeah, we're all in agreement that Rusev is coming out victorious. All right, next matchup on here is the Fatal 4-Way for the Cruiserweight Championship. Buddy Murphy versus Akira Tozawa versus Hideo Itami versus Kalisto. This should be a pretty good matchup. I am looking forward to seeing how this matchup goes down. as far as what goes down here, we all have Buddy Murphy coming out victorious. So here's how I would kind of book this, because now that Mustafa Ali is on SmackDown, the thing is that you need to build another huge babyface for that brand. And how you really do that is, in all honesty, right there, I would have Hideo Itami be that babyface, that kind of reluctant babyface that takes the belt off of Buddy Murphy. Honestly, he deserves it. He's been shafted for so long, and he deserves so much recognition for everything that he's done. So I would have Hideo Itami slowly turn into a face, but maybe stick in like the tweener section. During this matchup, Hideo Itami would hit the GTS on Akira Tozawa. Maybe he hits like a running knee or something like that. Just something really brutal, knocks him out. Buddy Murphy takes out Hideo Itami, but pins Akira Tozawa for the victory to hold on to the championship. So that's how I would kind of book that. Next matchup on here, we'll talk about the Bar defending their tag team titles against The Miz and Shane McMahon. This is one of the first few times where we have a bit of a disagreements here, in which we see Fretz and Dave have both chosen Shane McMahon and The Miz, while I have gone with The Bar. I just don't like this idea of just a random tag team pairing put together just for the sake of saying, hey, now we got something to do here. But some people might say, oh, but they won the Best of the World cup back at that one event that nobody wants to talk about. Yeah, for a good reason. I just don't like this pairing right now. It makes Miz look really dumb. It doesn't help Shane McMahon at all, and I think it's a waste of The Bar's time. I'm not going to lie. So I am very certain that Shane McMahon would probably turn heel during this time. Maybe it's a moment where Miz accidentally hits Shane, or maybe it's a moment where Shane just, he looks like he's going for a tag, but Shane just drops down. He's like, nope, I'm done with this. It's kind of one of those things where he kind of reluctantly gave it up. So it feels like he's still kind of going along with it. So I am hoping that it's one of those things where we do not see the tag team titles change hands here. It just would piss me off so much. It really would. I really do not want this team. I want to see The Bar continue to reign, and I'm hoping that they can build up a different team to face off against them. Honestly, there's still not a lot of really good teams that they could face off. I mean, you can give them the Usos, give them the New Day. You got Sanity involved. I'm trying to think if there was another team that I might be missing. Honestly, if they want to bring in maybe Gentleman Jack Gallagher and Brian Kendrick, they're a pretty established team. Maybe have them get involved with that. There's just so many other teams that they could do. It just makes absolute no damn sense to have I hate it. I really, really hate it. I really hate this match. I mean, it's funny, but now that it's getting closer, I'm really hating it. Okay, we have Ronda Rousey taking on Sasha Banks for the Raw Women's Championship. This seems like it's going to be Yep, all three of us have chosen Ronda. And I do want to actually address this before I go any further. There have been rumors escalating throughout the week that Ronda Rousey is going to be leaving WWE after WrestleMania. I've also heard rumors that that is not going to happen because her contract goes all the way until April 2021, so she's still going to be around for a couple more years. I will believe this stuff when I see it. The fact of the matter is that Ronda Rousey seems like she's having a great time, she's enjoying it, but she also mentions in an interview that she does miss spending time with her family. And there is probably a point where she wants to create her own family. So, will she leave WWE after WrestleMania? I highly doubt it. would she probably leave wrestling after WrestleMania? It could be a possibility. Maybe she does want to spend more time with, her husband. Maybe she wants to spend more time with her family. Maybe she wants to, start a family of her own. Whatever the reason may be, I understand it. And I think that we are still going to get the horsewomen matchup before she leaves. That is a guarantee. And I think, honestly, I would save that either for Survivor Series or for WrestleMania next year. Build that up, because right now, Baszler, Duke, and gosh, I'm trying to remember all of their names, but I do apologize. But just basically the three other horsewomen for UFC, they're still in NXT. Let them kind of establish themselves, get them built up, and then you can start building up, the four horsewomen deal again, either for Survivor Series or for WrestleMania. Either way, those are the best two events that you could choose for that. All right, next up we have Asuka taking on Becky Lynch. Also the booking I would have for Sasha and Ronda is that I would have, just be a very good physical matchup between the two of them. Definitely have Sasha lock in the bank statement. Ronda gets the ropes. Maybe Ronda locks in the armbar, and it seems like Sasha is just about to make it to the ropes. Make it at this point that people are holding on during that armbar for a little while longer. And then, just start making it so that maybe people are getting tougher and they're able to withstand it. Don't make it one of those situations where like an automatic tap out. I just think that would just not, I don't think that would work. I just think that, you need to start, showing a little bit of the kinks in the armbar move. So I'm thinking that's what's going to happen, but I could be wrong. And by could, I mean probably more than likely wrong. All right, we have the WWE Championship matchup. Daniel Bryan taking on AJ Styles. All three of us are in agreement that Daniel Bryan picks up the victory. I think it's going to be a really good physical matchup between these individuals. But I do see Daniel Bryan winning completely clean in the end, just like he did at TLC. If not, I could see AJ Styles maybe even getting himself disqualified accidentally. I think that would be a very interesting way to end the feud. But I think it would also be one of those things where it would continue the feud, continue into Chamber. Because now you kind of have to think, well, we already got one Chamber matchup, and that's for the women's tag team titles. So hopefully this will build up into, maybe the second one will be for the WWE Championship. Honestly, that's what I would probably have. So maybe that's the blow-off between Styles and Bryan, is that their feud kind of ends in the Elimination Chamber, and then Styles can go on and start doing something else. Also, I want to add something to the Ronda and Sasha deal, is that I would actually have Ronda, like I said before, I would have Ronda beat Sasha at Rumble. I would have Ronda beat Bayley at Elimination Chamber. I would have Ronda and Charlotte, the rematch, happen at Fastlane. And then the final blow-off would be Ronda versus Becky in WrestleMania. That's how I would book it, which probably gives away my pick for the winner. So, let's see, what do we got next? We got Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor. This is going to be an interesting matchup to choose because of the fact that Dave really brought up a good point. When you listen to his podcast that he talks about on Kings of the Ring, he definitely mentioned this idea that there's probably still some huge revenue and some huge money that can be attained with having the Universal title match at WrestleMania be Finn Balor versus Seth Rollins as the main event. That's what a lot of people definitely want. There's a lot of people that definitely want to have Brock Lesnar versus Seth Rollins as the main event. Honestly, either way, I'd be pleased with either one. As far as the predictions go, both myself and Fretz, we've gone with Brock Lesnar. I think we're in that realm of thinking that it is going to be Brock versus Seth at WrestleMania, but Dave is going with Finn, and yep, it's going to be Finn and Seth at WrestleMania, which honestly I'd be totally okay with. I think that'd be really good. Honestly, if they even did, Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre, that would be really cool. I would be totally fine with that. All right. Next up, we have the women's Royal Rumble match, in which we have 30 women. We have extra points here and there to basically try and make sure that everything is all good and ready, just in case there's no ties or anything like that. That's what we're hoping for. But just going to cut down to the winners. Mr. Fretz has predicted that Becky and Charlotte will both win the Rumble via, they do the Lex Luger and Bret Hart deal, where they both, eliminate each other, and that's how it goes down. Mr. Dave has chosen Charlotte, or as King Ricky likes to call her, Char Char, to pick up the victory there. I have chosen Becky Lynch because I do believe that she's going to be one of the surprise entrants in the Rumble. I think it would be the worst thing to do is to have Charlotte win the Rumble. I think that now that a lot of people are definitely hitting on this fact that Charlotte has she hasn't earned anything, she's just getting everything handed to her and blah 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 blah. But what I love is that Charlotte is kind of embracing it instead of just letting it affect her. I'm sure that it affects her in some means, but she's found a way to just be yeah, you know what? I'm just that better than you. That's the way it is. All right. I'm looking forward to the Rumble match either way. So I think it's basically either going to be Charlotte or Becky, and as it should be. All right, then we go into the men's Rumble matchup, in which we have 30 men, and only 20 entrants have been announced. So there's about 10 possibilities that we could have for a surprise entrance. We also have 23 women announced already for the Rumble, so there's 7 women that will be announced for that will be a surprise entrance, which I'm totally okay with. Then the winner of the Rumble, all 3 of us have gone with Seth Rollins. And honestly, that's just seemingly the best person to choose right now. Because Seth Rollins is the best. Seth is number 1. Sorry. Yeah, that's the predictions for Royal Rumble. Like I said, there's random point tallies here and there. For me and Fretz, it's a battle for the Game Changer Championship. For me and Dave, it's a battle to determine who is going to Chop City. If you listen to the Kings of the Rings podcast, you'll definitely hear him mention the stipulation is that the winner is going to chop the loser bare-chested, and already you also heard that King Ricky and Will just want to make that a Patreon exclusive deal. You know something? If you want to make that one chop a Patreon exclusive, that's fine. If I lose, I'm not taking one. I'm taking more. So, yeah, believe that. I got the cojones. I got the balls to take it above and beyond. And if you don't believe me, you go find my video where I do Chop City, and you will know that I have the cojones to take it on. So bring it on, if that's the case. But I don't plan on losing. I plan on seeing Mr. Dusty Dave take a nice little sweet chop from this hand right smack dab in the chest. It's going to be awesome. All right. So, yeah, those, like I said, those are the predictions for Royal Rumble. I'm trying to think if there was anything else here. I think that is going to wrap up this edition of the Game Changer. Like I said, you guys, be sure to check us out on Spreaker.com as well as on YouTube. Be sure to also listen to us on iHeartRadio and SoundCloud. Be sure to give us a like on our Facebook fan page. Follow me on Twitter at RealFNGame. It's going to be a very crazy weekend. It's going to be absolutely great. So for that, I've been Nate the Effing Great. This has been the Game Changer. And, no. That's not it. Oh my gosh. I'm such an idiot. How could I possibly forget? The big announcement for the signee. We actually signed a new member, a new co-host, if you would, for the Game Changer. And honestly, this is an individual that I have been looking on for quite a while. She has done a fantastic job with her own YouTube channel, and I am looking forward to having her on I guess she's a part of the family, honestly. And she is definitely going to bring some huge new material as well as great things to the Game Changer. She will also be a part of the pre-show that we will have for Water City WrestleCon in April, so definitely tune into that. We're going to try and get that one live. It all depends on the reception as far as the building goes. It all depends. And there's probably going to be a lot of people that are going to use the Wi-Fi there if they do have it. So it's going to be interesting trying to work that out. So if we don't post it up, before the show, you'll definitely post it up on the day. But anyway, getting back to the major announcement, the person in particular that I am talking about is going to be the one and only Miss Taylor Talks. Taylor Marie on Facebook, on Twitter, I should say. Definitely go check her out. Her Twitter handle is Taylor Marie at Taylor1114. She's a huge Dean Ambrose fan, and she is absolutely phenomenal. So definitely go check out her stuff. Make sure that you also be sure to give her a like. Be sure to give her a nice subscribe on her YouTube channel. Like I said, it's Taylor Talks. It is going to be awesome to have her on the show. Taylor Marie, welcome to the family, and looking forward to working with you in the future. So guys, for those of you that are looking for the recap, I talked a lot about this week of wrestling as far as Rumble, build up, some AEW and Impact news. Californiary is going to be coming to February on my Twitter at Real Effing Game. Be sure to look at that. Look out for those photos. They're going to be awesome. As well as adding Taylor Marie to the YouTube to the Game Changer family. So with that, now I can end it. Thank you so much for being a part of the show, you guys. And bigger things are coming. Better things are happening. And we are just beginning. We are starting a revolution. And just remember, I'm not just a game changer. I am the game changer. Have a good one, you guys. Enjoy Rumble Weekend, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.